I would like career advice on how to maximize my quality of life for a decade of commercial aviation after my initial Air Force pilot training commitment is completed. I'm currently a military helicopter pilot, but have my multi-engine fixed-wing ATP complete, and I'm starting a 6-month SkillBridge internship flying citations. I'm anticipating having 2,100 total time, 300 multi-engine turbine after completing the SkillBridge, and want to pursue some kind of commercial fixed-wing aviation after that. My family is in a great financial position where I only need to work another 8 to 10 years before we're financially independent and can then choose to continue to fly or get out and maximize time with my wife and 2 children, who will be 12 and 14 at that time. An additional consideration is that my wife is also in the military and wants to stay in another 8 years to receive a full pension. This will limit where we can live, and I would like to avoid a heinous commute. If you were in my position, would you elect to pursue a fractional airline to get the commute paid for and provide location flexibility, or a Part 121 carrier and chase a major airline? I would prefer a major carrier, but I'm scared of how my wife's military moves will dictate where we live and force me to commute. Am I being too short-sighted? If you had only a decade left to work, which commercial aviation path would you choose?
Sex, seniority, and salary in that order.
Rock on. You're on 121.5, the emergency frequency.
It's a show by professional pilots for professional pilots.
I looked back at them and I said, I don't think we're at the right airport. And they go, I don't think we are either.
Each episode, we bring you fascinating conversations with industry experts.
I think I should be a go-to on how to deal with 63, 64-year-old men.
You're going to chase it like a dog chasing a school bus.
But we're not just about the serious stuff. We're here to have fun.
And I like to sit with pilots a lot of times. I always say they're better looking than Tom Cruise.
It's a whole thing.
The 21.5 Professional Pilots Podcast is your destination for everything aviation, whether you're cruising in the flight levels or just starting your journey. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's another episode of the 21.5 Show, a podcast for professional pilots by professional pilots. Hello, if you're new here, my name is Dylan. I'm a business aviation specialist, piloting the mighty Challenger 350 around the contiguous 48 for the most part. Hello.
Yes. Hello. I'm Max. I'm a airline pilot on the 737, as well as flying a Gulfstream 280 and a Carbon Cub in my spare time.
Max, this is a rare. I feel like this is the third time we recorded in a week here, so we're gonna have to really dig deep to find
Really
some new
getting ahead.
content.
I know. I haven't had a lot of
Trying to bank some episodes here before we go on vacation.
again.
So hopefully you flew today. Hopefully you've got like
I've been busy.
an hours. Have you flown with a super weird captain? You can
No,
at least get some stories or something.
So I had a thought today. Like most of the time when you meet the captain for the first time, it's pretty benign, right? It's like, oh, hey, how you doing? Yeah, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Wife, kids, where do you live? Yada, 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 right?
Yep.
But sometimes you walk onto a scene in the cockpit.
Okay.
And you're like, And so here's what I walked into today. The captain is in the back briefing the flight attendant. So I walk in, I'm like, hey, and I go into the cockpit and put my stuff away. And the first thing I see when I walk in is a Bluetooth speaker, right?
Oh.
Like on the, which, that's nothing new. Like, we have people that have Bluetooth speakers and like to jam and whatever, which I'm generally on board with. So I see that, and then on top of the dash is clipped like a Hawaiian hula girl in a grass skirt that dances when things move. Mm-hmm. It's probably a good 5 inches tall, right?
Okay.
And so that's the first. I'm calling this. This is the first impression when you walk in. So what do you think? What goes through your head?
The first thing that I would go through my head is, especially since you fly out of Phoenix and people that know Southwest and Phoenix, what do they say? Like Southwest has like 5 domiciles in one squadron or something. Isn't that the saying?
There's a bunch of them, yeah.
So I would say, okay, I may not be flying with one of the Luftwaffe or
but really,
or whatever they say.
That's starting to be like old. That's starting to be outdated because I don't fly with that. I mean, there are still remnants of the Luftwaffe, but everyone that I've flown with that flew F-16s out of Luke Air Force Base has been cool. So
Okay.
I got no complaints. But
All right.
anyway, that is the lore, of course. But
Okay, so I would think, okay, this guy's gonna be chill, like probably civilian, laid back. Fly by the book. I don't have an ego. If you see something you don't like, just let me know, man. We're all in this together. Let's just try to get to the hotel safely, bro.
yeah, well, it's just funny. So I sit down. I'm like, I wonder how this is gonna go. Like,
Yeah.
to me, it's either like this guy's gonna be like over the top eclectic weirdo,
Yeah.
which is fine. I can handle that. But or a cool, like, my first impression, I'm like, oh, this should be a good time.
Yeah.
I would think at least something different. I've never seen a hula girl posted up on the glare shield. So
Right.
we'll just see how it goes. But it's just funny sometimes when you walk into work and you're just like, oh,
What?
no,
Now what?
that sets the tone. And it's cool. It's funny because the guy's actually a former Marine
Oh.
Harrier guy. But yeah, totally chill, laid back, rides dirt bikes, is going to the Corvette Driving Academy in a couple months too. Like so you
didn't have anything to talk about. It sounds like you just sat in silence and just
a lot of sounds,
stared off into the
staring
abyss.
out the window. We don't have a lot of comments. So
it is the funnest. Do you like let's say at first leg of a 3-day, if the person's interesting, that's usually the most interesting leg, right? Or does it take you like 2 or 3 legs? Like if the guy's got some hobbies or interests or the gal, like, do you feel like you get into most of the details that first couple of flights, or
it's sort of like peeling an onion? Yeah,
Okay.
and I try to purposely meter the commonalities. So we have kind of stretched the material, for a 3-day.
This is why Max is such a great. You want to become a good interviewer and have a podcast? Be a first officer at an airline. That's like unlimited practice interviewing.
It really is. Yeah.
I mean, you could just sit there, and especially half the captains will never ask you about yourself. So if you're just good
that's very
asking,
uncommon here, though. I almost never experienced that.
Really? That's good.
Yeah, which, for the most part.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's just
now is that
funny.
hula in every leg, or is that just captain setting the tone for the trip on the first?
No. Well, it does come down for takeoff and landing, which I appreciate.
Of course.
But other times it's basically how it's actually a pretty effective way to determine what kind of turbulence you're going to report.
Oh, hula girl, is it a light? Yeah, you need to like Google the levels of hula. Like, is there like I don't even know the terms.
Yeah, we have this new app. I told you about this. It's called SkyPath that everybody uses, right? And you use it when your iPad is mounted in the little pivot mount, that hooks under the case, so it's securely fixed to the airplane, and it will report turbulence for everybody who has it open. It reports the turbulence at what altitude you're at, and so it's like a sharing thing of it. So it's ride sharing,
right.
instead of everyone still calls and asks for the ride, but this does it too. And we go through this bump and we look and like, oh, that it reported moderate. And then we looked at the hula girl and we're like, I don't know. Her hips weren't moving that much. It seemed more like light.
The hips don't lie, would you say? Would it be safe to say that?
That's good. We should call it the Shakira.
There you go.
Shakira Scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen,
where are we at
the
on the
hips
Shakira
do not
scale?
lie. That's good. See, now I've got material for the first leg tomorrow.
Perfect. Oh, thank you. That's so good.
It's really
my favorite. If the ride is bad, flew with this one guy one time, and they asked us like, "Hey, how bad's the ride?" I can't remember where we were at, but they were asking the captain, and I looked at the captain, and he just came on the radio, and it was a rough ride, and he just said, "Stucco bathtub." That was all he used to describe the ride.
Listen, you never know what you're going to get,
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, we're having a good time. It's day 1,
Good.
2 legs. We're meeting for dinner in 2.5 hours. That's all I had to report.
Oh, crew dinner too. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan Fielder would be proud of all this.
A lot of rapport. That's right. We're talking. We already got a ceviche deal lined up for tomorrow. Things are really coming together.
Sounds like there's communication. The captain is setting some nonverbal signs to the crew about the approachability. You guys are trying to, establish some rapport outside of the cockpit. This is
Listen,
great.
Dylan, I'm just here to have a good time.
That's right.
So
Well done. Good.
thank you.
Max, happy to report here. Speaking of crew members and having a good time, guess who is back in our lives today? Reggie,
My boy Reg.
Yeah, Reggie, are
on
you
stage?
there? Hello. We're doing another recording. We'd love to say hello to you. Are you available?
Hey there. I'm always available and ready to jump in. It's great to hear from you both, and I'm excited for another recording session. Let me know how I can help this time.
The news lately that EASA, the European Aviation Authority, that's pulled back on their single pilot operations. Can you give us just a quick update on what the changes that have been shown up in the news are?
Recently, EASA decided to pause its research into single pilot operations for large commercial aircraft. They concluded that the current cockpit technology and operational frameworks don't yet meet the safety standards that a two-pilot crew provides. So for now, the plans to move towards single pilot operations on long-haul flights are on hold.
Well, that's comforting for us professional aviators. Thank you.
Absolutely. Perfect. Sounds good, Reg. All right, we're going to put you back in the cage for a little bit. We'll let you know when we need you next.
Sounds like a plan. I'll be here whenever you need me again. Take care and have a great show.
Okay, Max, any more musings for us?
One other thing that I had that I didn't want to forget to talk about, it's kind of fun. So our buddy Sean and we went flying on Sunday morning. It was kind of cool, a cooler day in Phoenix, which was nice. So we didn't have to leave like right at sunrise at like 5:30. So we got out to the airport about 7, took off. We flew out to Red Creek, which is a backcountry dirt airstrip that's pretty remote. And we landed. We each brought our kids. I brought my youngest son, who's 10, and Sean has a young son too. So we went out there and we were hanging out just for a minute. You know, there's horseshoe pits. We're playing horseshoes in the middle of nowhere. And then Sean brought some flour bombs, which is essentially a brown paper bag with a quarter cup of flour in it and then taped shut. And so we took off. So Sean took off first. I waited, and we were having letting the kids have a flower bomb contest so we were trying to bomb the marker was the windsock. So we're over there and Sean flies over, and there was a bunch of like wind that was kind of coming through this gap in the mountains. So it was like a venturi. So on the ground, it wasn't terrible, but like at, a few hundred feet, it was just kind of ripping. It was wild. So it was funny. We let the kids try and flower bomb the windsock, and then he landed, I took off, and we dropped our bombs, and then we headed out, landed in this, wash next to the river, just like with like baseball size and smaller river rocks and stuff. It was pretty cool.
I saw the video. Your landing gear was working overtime on that one.
Yeah, tail wheel was.
It's so cool because you've got the Starlink now in your airplane, so you FaceTime me from Red Creek, middle of nowhere.
It's so weird, dude.
It's
honestly,
crazy.
like you're just kind of like, what? This is amazing.
Yeah, it's very cool. Remember when we camped out at Red Creek many years ago, and there was like no contact with anybody. We were like out in the middle of nowhere.
Dude.
Like, we're off the grid.
If somebody fell in the fire, they would have been dead. Like that was it. Like there was no Garmin in reach. There was no Spot back then. There was all these things that we have now.
Yeah, you're just like casually dropping baking goods on the runway, and then
it's just no big deal.
Let me check my LinkedIn real quick.
So this is funny. Listen to this. So we land. And there's this kind of big bank of trees you drop in over, and we land in this this area this riverbed next to the river where it's flowing, right? So I land, Sean lands, and there's somebody camping right up against those trees. So we land, and then we had brought a target, and we went out and let the kids shoot this target with a just 22, and then hung out for a minute, got back in our planes, and took off. And you had to wonder what this guy that was like in this, early 90s pickup truck that's just camping out there, I think with his girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
Is thinking.
Honey, finally some peace and quiet. Get away from these guys.
Was really remote. Like that, it was a haul for him to get back there in a pickup truck. I was actually more surprised to see him maybe than he was
got
to
it
see
all the
me,
way out there.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. And we didn't really like talk.
Did you make eye contact or anything?
He was just kind of standing out there with the look on his face,
what
like,
in the hell?
What? Yeah. May as well be in a Martian invasion, You
have your Bluetooth speaker, hula girl on the dash, And you get your Starlink, you're playing the big booty mix while you're blasting 22 rounds. What just happened here?
It was funny.
Did you do a flower bomb on the way out just to sort of
No.
establish dominance?
No, we just blasted off. It was pretty funny.
That is pretty funny. Well, see you later.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh man. Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Good stuff. I'm glad to hear you're
Keep getting the
keeping that
kids in
airplane
aviation, you know?
I know. That's the way.
Nothing gets a kid more interested in aviation than dropping stuff out the window, let me tell you.
Yeah. Now your son, when they start talking about all the B-2 bomb. Oh yeah, let's talk about the B-2 bomber just for a minute. Their Operation Midnight Hammer.
Yeah.
So Gavin, my son, and I have been geeking out, watching some B-2 YouTube videos this week. And I thought this would be an interesting time for you to tell the story. So for anyone that hasn't heard the news, I think they were saying that the B-2s were in the air, I think, for 37 hours. Is that what you heard?
Yeah, I think that rings a bell as well.
So tell the story about the B-2 pilot that, who was he, a sim partner of yours, or you met him in training or something?
No, just a dude I met, when I came back from for my recall when I was on this extended time off program after COVID. It was like a 10-day program. So it was kind of like a miniature initial, right? And so this dude I just became buddies with, and he was a former B-2 guy. And he was telling us about how they had to do a 24-hour simulator where they were in the simulator, no breaks, for 24 hours. It was a 24-hour mission. Like they had to, go to the bathroom and eat in there and in the sim. To train for stuff like this, obviously, right? Because refuelings and the whole thing. So yeah, that obviously rang a bell when they said these guys took off in Missouri, dropped some bombs in Iran, and flew all the way back and landed in Missouri. It's a wild projection of air power.
Yeah, and it's only 2 people in there, I think, just a pilot and a mission commander.
I don't know if they bring another person along or not.
There's a third person, a back massage guy. And there's so the video that Gavin and I watched, so they, it's a chemical toilet that they have in there. And then, there's no official bunk. There's no TED 787 bunk to enjoy. It's just I've read some stuff like there's enough room behind the seats where you can put a little tiny inflatable mattress or a cot or something. But
actually, what I heard was for this mission, because it was so long, they enlisted the help of the Nomad ferry pilots.
Oh yeah, right. The nomadic guys. Yeah. Said, hey, Bob and Steve, this would be a good mission for you. This is nothing for you guys.
Yeah. This seems like a walk in the park for you guys.
Oh, gosh. Unbelievable. Well, interesting to see. And then the other thing I also learned, maybe you know more about this, it looked like they also launched some decoy B-2s going in the opposite direction over the Pacific.
Diego Garcia. Yeah. Totally. It was a cheap operation, sounds like.
Wow. Yeah. Can you imagine that?
Dropping 30,000-pound bombs on the other side of the world.
Holy smokes.
That's just amazing, though. If you think about that and you're China and you just watch all that go down, you've got to be like, I don't think we can do that.
Yeah, I don't know if we have the technology for that.
Why we're steaming 2 aircraft carriers, and it's just
yeah.
Say
your
what
tax
you will
dollars at work.
About the U.S., but we wield a very large sword.
The stick is big.
Impressive.
Stick is big.
Like Trump says, his button is bigger.
That's right.
I guess so.
We have some Trump feedback in the comments for you here soon. You can look forward to. Any other musings before we move on?
That's all I got, man.
That's it.
I'm out.
That's pretty impressive. On a short week, that's pretty good. You really came through. Because I have got nothing. I don't think I've flown since last time we even talked on the radio. So it's a Part 91 slacker over here. Okay. On to the reviews and comments. Last time we read a bunch of reviews. Today we've got YouTube comments to read. A bunch of them came from our interview with Seth Lake. Here's the first one from Amato Cervantes. On YouTube, it says I fly for a 135 and just reinstated my CFII. The reason I did the double I versus the CFI is because I work in the IFR environment. It was seamless. I did have to ground teach the pedostatic system and instruments. In the air, I showed how to conduct radio comms to set up for a couple of approaches with a missed approach, unusual attitude recovery, mag compass turns. I was a little nervous, but I just told myself, you know what to do, just don't F it up.
Good advice.
Yeah, love the CFII maneuver. That's a power move.
All right, next one. Got my initial CFI in 1987
Ooh.
and let mine lapse in 15. Dude.
Wow.
And yes, that was me. Kids now want to learn to fly. CFI, II, MEI, rotor, etc. Did my reinstatement last month. Originally seemed would be simple, but then the DP advised since long time since lapse, plus number of CFI privileges that would be reinstated, all were fair game, plus FOI. He gave me the full Monty, 5-hour oral and 2-hour flight. The FOI wasn't too bad due to the fact that I teach college courses for an aviation university and concepts are the same. I'm reinstated now and won't make that mistake again.
Oh, man. Can you imagine
Seth,
if you weren't?
If you're listening, just
Seth,
please shut the
we
program
actually
off.
don't have our MEIs or our double I's, Seth. We only have our double I's. That's it.
That's pretty funny.
Wow. Well, man, can you imagine if you weren't teaching college courses in an aviation university? It's like, great, let's go through a VMC demo here for the next 20 minutes. Ooh. Last one says, since you asked for comments, I'm going to ask, please remove the voice of that alpha orange guy from the intro. I can't stand his voice and it's not apolitical, even if you're trying to be. Why alienate a portion of your audience with the orange man? With that. And that's from Roca891.
I think I responded to him.
You did.
And I just said, dude, it's funny. Or something. I mean, like, it is. It's just funny. It's hilarious. Like that. It is apolitical, isn't it? How is that anything but apolitical? It's just funny to hear Trump grovel over pilots. Like,
I think,
I don't know. I obviously, it's very polarizing subject.
I think he's just so polarizing that folks just hear the noise. It's like nails on a chalkboard to them, would be my guess.
It's just funny, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm sorry, Roca891. I apologize for anyone that does not enjoy.
Just so you know, so I'm very clear, the intent is to be apolitical. It's making no statement of any sort of anything. It's just funny.
Yeah.
To hear Trump compare pilots to being Brad Pitt. That is it. Tom Cruise, whatever. That's right.
There's a fast forward button on most podcasts where you can fast forward 30 seconds. That as soon as the show starts, you can boom. If you hit that, you can skip right through it. But listen, we're doing the show because we like to do the show, and we're going to make the intro we want. And I'm sorry if you don't like it, but it's the way it goes.
But please keep the comments coming.
Yes,
good, bad, or otherwise.
Absolutely,
we are not offended.
Absolutely, and in fact, Roca, we would love to send you some stickers as a token of our appreciation for suffering through the intro, even if you didn't enjoy it. Thank you for being a loyal listener. And anyone that's left a comment, shoot us an email, info@215podcast.com, and I'll be happy to send you some stickers in the mail. You have to send me your mailing address, though. That's the key. And last episode, Max, I don't know if you remember, we got a review from a listener from Switzerland, and he just hit me up with his address. So now I got to figure out how to get the postage.
International shipping now?
Listen, we're going to do it. We're committed.
All right. Sounds good.
We will ship if you are, if you give us an address that the U.S. Postal Service can get it to somehow, we'll get it to you. At the lowest cost possible, however, so it might take a couple months. But that's going to do it for the reviews and comments. Always love to hear from folks, even if you don't like what we have to say. It's great feedback. Appreciate it. Keep it coming. All right, Max. Mailbag time.
All right.
I'm going to try and tighten things up a little bit. Make things a little bit more professional. You ready for this?
Go ahead.
Okay. I want to let you know that this portion of the show, the mailbag, is brought to you by Advanced Aircrew Academy, the gold standard in aviation training. Whether you're a line pilot juggling a busy schedule or a flight department manager trying to keep your team on the right side of compliance, Advanced Aircrew Academy has you covered. Their pilot-friendly training models are built by subject matter experts who actually understand what it's like to be in the cockpit, not just a conference room. From international procedures and fatigue management to SMS and maintenance human factors, the content is practical, relevant, and dare I say, digestible. And the best part, their intuitive online platform takes the headache out of tracking, scheduling, and reporting, making regulatory compliance less of a chore and more of a checkbox. Head to aircrewacademy.com to learn more and see how Advanced Aircrew Academy can elevate your training program. What'd you think?
It's good. Very professional.
Better than my last episode's tangent when I talked about Allegiant Airlines for the whole ad read. Trying to tighten it up here. Sorry, Advanced Aircrew Academy. All right, mailbag time. Go ahead, Max.
Hey, Dylan and Max, relatively long-time listener, first-time caller, 737 skipper for WestJet Airlines here in Canada. And I really enjoy your show. Much to the horror of my 13-year-old daughter, I'll even say it slaps with hella drip and low-key riz.
Okay.
I'm about the same vintage as both of you, so I can totally relate to many of your stories and anecdotes. Just curious if Max saw Travis Tritt in Winslow, and if so, was there a good-looking girl in the flatbed Ford slowing down to take a look at him? I apologize if neither of you are 90s country music fans, and the last sentence made you question my sanity. Take care, Adam. P.S. With summer weather upon us, don't forget to deviate twice as far around cells if your family is on board.
Family? How can I do that? I think he's referring to when Max had to recently had to deviate into or
divert
into
Winslow.
Winslow. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I did not make it into town for the staying on the corner park there. Yeah, we get the reference. Don't you worry, Adam.
Don't you worry, Adam. Okay, here's another Gen Z slang start to this, and I don't think I know what this means. S-tier pod. 5 stars for the boomers that don't know what that means. Listen for over a year, always the highlight of the week. I'm also a 20-year-old flight instructor and researching about getting my own credit card. I've been an authorized user on my parents' account since I was in high school, so now I have a high 700 credit score. I'm looking at Amex Hilton Honors or Marriott Bonvoy Amex. Any others I should consider? I hope to be at United when I get to the majors eventually, if that helps. I'm also going to be doing a multi add-on this summer, so I'm also looking at cards that will give rewards for over a certain amount spent in the first few months. Thanks, and that's from Will. Will, I would stay on your parents' credit card. That seems to be a really good move there. I guess as long as they're paying the bill. Is that an option? That's what I would do. But no, I don't know, Max. Do you have any thoughts on this? Is this?
Yeah, you're the points guy. You got to give him the rec. But I mean, I'm a big Chase Sapphire Reserve guy. Even though the fee has just been increased to $750, they do have currently 100,000 point bonus though going on. That's intense. That's like actually worth some real money.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Chase points are pretty good.
You have to travel a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna travel a ton. I would look and see, honestly, if you're gonna be making a bunch of spend on your multi, see if the flight school falls under any bonus categories of any credit cards. You could ask them like how they code their thing. I know this kind of sounds weird, but if you can find a credit card that maybe gives you 2 times points for the type of charge they're going to place your training under, you might be able to get a really nice bonus out of that. And then there's
he's a flight instructor. He's not charging his training.
Yeah, he just said he's about to do his multi add-on this summer.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
I missed that part.
Yeah. So I think that, if you're about to drop some bucks, and then his other thing about all the spend bonuses, I agree. I don't love doing like Hilton or Marriott just because then you can only use the points for that. And the Chase is so much better because then you can use the spending on like Apple gift cards or travel or, and you're not like tied to one chain. But that's my advice. Or, there's also just cash back too, which if you're going to be a flight instructor, having access to cash probably
not the worst.
Probably might be better than I can't imagine you're going to be traveling a ton, in the coming years. But all right, next one.
Hey guys, hope all is well. I do not have a cool aviation story or feedback, but I do have a question. I'm a blue-collar guy who found aviation and became super passionate about it. I'm currently in my cross-country phase of my private and wanted to ask y'all if you believe a degree in aviation is required to fly for a Part 135 operation. I do not have ambitions to fly for an airline one day, and I'm more interested in flying corporate or medevac jobs. I know I'm very far away from being in the phase where I can get an aviation job, but I do want to know what if it's a realistic idea to expect that I can get one of these jobs, or if I need to go to college. I'm in my late 20s and we're looking to start a family soon. It'll be very hard to be a college student at this time. So if you could give me y'all's opinion, thanks. Ross. No, it is not. It's not a requirement to have a degree in aviation to fly for 135.
Definitely not for 135.
You don't have to have a degree in aviation to fly for anybody. Nobody requires a degree in aviation. Perhaps a degree.
Some of the majors, oh yeah. Well, some of them just required a college degree, but I don't even think I'm going to Google it right now while you continue to ask this here.
Yeah, but either way, maybe a degree will be required again in the future, and it was required for a long time, and then it was the requirement was dropped. But certainly not a degree in aviation, and certainly not for a 135 operation typically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are all, there's a lot of variation in 135 operators, but
yeah. I don't think, if there are 10 pilots and they all have the same exact resume and one has a college degree, okay, maybe they'll use that as a differentiator, but it's not like I've ever really heard anyone get held back there. Yes, at the major big airlines, there could be a time where they could require it again.
Yeah, I'd be more focused on your flight experience.
Yeah, exactly.
For right now.
I wouldn't sweat it. You can get that later after you get all your ratings and you're flying and you're on the road.
You can start chipping away through community college credits and then an online degree or whatever. Just if it all is required, it is just a 4-year degree, period.
Yeah.
It can be in
anything.
Whatever. So.
Yep. Next email. Here, I'll let you read that one too, because you're going to be able to answer it really
Guys,
quick.
What's the Pan Am book you guys talk about? Cliff. So Sky Gods is the story of Pan Am, the airline that I was talking about. But I also talked about a book called The Long Way Home by Ed Dover. That was the story of the Pan Am Clipper that was caught out in the Pacific and had to fly the long way home to get back to New York because of World War II breaking out. So I think those are the only two Pan Am books we've discussed.
Yeah. Oh, and circling back, right now, UPS is the only airline right now that a bachelor's degree is required. Everyone else says it's preferred, according to the internet. All right, next email says, gents, good afternoon from gloomy San Diego. I heard about your love for the Caribou DHC-6, and I wanted to let you guys know that I am a current Caribou SIC for a Part 135 company. It's a fun, albeit very slow aircraft. It was my first aircraft as a professional pilot, and it does have a place in my heart as one of my favorite planes I have flown. I also fly the Twin Otter and the Casa 212 for the same company. Let me know if you would like to have me as a guest. I would love to chat it up with you too. All that being said, my ultimate aspiration is to fly for a regional, NetJets, or FlexJet. But as you both know, it's almost impossible to get an interview right now. I'm sitting at 1,500 hours total time, and my question for you is, should I move forward and fork over the 5K for the ATP-CTP course exam, or wait until I get on with a regional, circa a year from now? My current employer will cover the cost, but they want an 18-month contract that also includes the PIC type rating and upgrade. My concern is if pilot hiring increases in that 18 months, I would be stuck and possibly miss another pilot wave. For context, this is a second career for me as I am 49 years old and understand if I keep waiting, my window to fly for an airline decreases with every passing year. Let me know what you guys think. Love the show. And that's from Mario.
Well, I would say it depends on the terms of the training contract, but if it's prorated over 18 months or...
Let's say it is. Let's just, for argument's sake, let's say this is prorated over 18 months.
I mean, I don't, and it also depends too, like how hard it would be to pay back the 5,000 or portion thereof. But I don't know. What do you think?
So that's about $280 a month is your would be, if you left early. I would say, well, I love that he included his age there because that's really good context. So the clock, he's kind of feeling the pressure here because the clock is ticking.
I get it.
I think that I would, because when things start spooling back up, I would think you would be a pretty attractive candidate, right? Because you already have turbine time, flying as a crew. You've got the 1,500 hours, so I would feel like you would go ahead of a flight instructor probably.
Yeah, and I feel like the ATP-CTP course could be important, right? In that scenario.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, they could get hired. I feel like when the regionals start hiring, this would be a prime candidate to go.
Sure.
If that makes sense. Over, like, if you're looking at somebody
not going to delay
Caribou,
going because you're on an 18-month, $5,000 ATP-CTP training contract.
No, that's my point. Because the regional, you don't need it. Usually, they'll pay. They'll cover it.
Right.
So my point is, I think once the regionals start hiring, I think this is the type of candidate that could be getting on sooner rather than later.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
So maybe don't sign the contract if you want the maximum flexibility to just be able to go.
Yeah, and the other thing too, it's not like it's something you can't do relatively quick if you're, flying a lot. So
yeah, exactly. So that would be my take there, because it doesn't sound like where you're at is, your dream job to stay there for forever and you're ready to move on.
But the thing is, like, it's $5,000, and if it's going to be, you're going to be chipping down $280 a month. Like, if you just get it done as soon as possible and start the clock ticking, and if it's prorated and you have to pay back, whatever, a couple $1,000, you still got it subsidized, where maybe you wouldn't otherwise. So
yeah, Mario, the other thing I would say too, if you want to get that ATP-CTP now, start looking for aviation scholarships. You might be able to go outside of your employer to pay for it, but you might be able to get a scholarship to do it.
Yeah, that's very good advice right there.
And then that way you can maybe mitigate some of the cost. Because what if you could get a $2,500 scholarship? So now it's only $2,500 out of pocket. That'd be possibly a good way to do it. So I do like the way you're thinking, though. Limiting because you only have it maybe
keeping the flexibility.
Yeah, exactly. Maximum flexibility. So good email, Mario. Appreciate that. Send us a picture of the Caribou. I'm curious. No crew rest bunk in that thing either, I imagine.
What is he doing in those airplanes? It's got to be like skydiver.
I think it has to be, right?
Contract for the military or something, right?
Be my guess. I don't know. Are there any military bases in San Diego? Any military operations?
No, I've not heard any. Yeah.
Do we need to get Reginald back? Okay, that's going to do it for the mailbag. info@215podcast.com is the address if you want to be part of the conversation. Love to hear your emails and get your perspective and hear what's going on out there in the real world. Up next, Max, flight advice. We got a good one I'm excited to share with you. Of course, you know that flight advice is brought to you by Harvey Watt. If you visit harveywatt.com, you can learn more about the insurance company for professional pilots. Harvey Watt provides a couple of great things specifically tailored for professional pilots. Number one is loss of medical insurance. Such a key product for professional pilots. And there's only a couple of providers out there. Harvey Watt's got the best policies. Check them out. Number two, life insurance. Great product for professional pilots because they're not strict. You can go fly. You can go flower bomb in the middle of the Arizona desert, and there's no restrictions on that. They don't care. HarveyWatt.com.
As long as it's somewhere where you can retrieve the trash,
Yeah, that's right. You got to retrieve
that's
the trash.
The important part.
Follow all the
should add
FARs.
that. We did retrieve all of the trash.
On record saying that the trash was retrieved. Yeah, because you dumped it into that guy's trash can in the fire pit and it's the camping, right?
No, I flew it out. Yeah, the guy.
Hey, throw this in the trash
the
for us,
unsuspecting camper.
Exactly. Anyways, thanks to Harvey Watt for their longtime sponsorship of the show. On to flight advice. Here we go. I would like career advice on how to maximize my quality of life for a decade of commercial aviation after my initial Air Force pilot training commitment is completed. I'm currently a military helicopter pilot, but have my multi-engine fixed-wing ATP complete, and I'm starting a 6-month SkillBridge internship flying citations. I'm anticipating having 2,100 total time, 300 multi-engine turbine after completing the SkillBridge, and want to pursue some kind of commercial fixed-wing aviation after that. My family is in a great financial position where I only need to work another 8 to 10 years before we're financially independent and can then choose to continue to fly or get out and maximize time with my wife and 2 children, who will be 12 and 14 at that time. An additional consideration is that my wife is also in the military and wants to stay in another 8 years to receive a full pension. This will limit where we can live, and I would like to avoid a heinous commute. If you were in my position, would you elect to pursue a fractional airline to get the commute paid for and provide location flexibility, or a Part 121 carrier and chase a major airline? I would prefer a major carrier, but I'm scared of how my wife's military moves will dictate where we live and force me to commute. Am I being too short-sighted? If you had only a decade left to work, which commercial aviation path would you choose? A couple details he did include here that we didn't get already. Age is 35 years old, and we did already find out they had 2 kids and may have a couple more. It's unclear how old the kids are now because he said in 8 to 10 years.
10 years. So say 10 years. So they're 2 and 4.
2 and 4, yeah. Yeah. So real young kids at this point. Interesting question. If you only had 10 years, how would you do it? We're going to take it at face value that he is only going to fly 10 years.
Okay. But there's a lot of planning going on in a industry that
that's
is
the
very
first
difficult to plan.
red flag.
We'll say that. But listen, we can't predict the future, so let's go with what we got. The one thing, the one thing that's, my kids are 15, 13, 10, and then the little one. So when I look at this, I'm like, you're finally going to be done and be able to have all this time when your kids are 12 and 14. That's like right when they start to
they become much more independent.
There you go. Become much more independent, become much more interested in doing stuff with their friends rather than doing stuff with you. So that being said, from somebody that has kids that are that old or older now, like I would be a little bit more concerned about spending time with them when they're young versus at those ages. But that's just me. The fractional thing sounds kind of like a no-brainer if he's worried about getting moved around with his wife's military stuff, because that obviously avoids commuting, which I'm vehemently opposed to. But the big thing with the fractionals is the schedule, and some people love it and some people don't. Like the difference for me between a 3-day trip at the airlines and a 4-day trip is huge. Like that, I can't. But that may just be for me. There's a lot of people that love 4 days, especially commuters or whatever. So it depends on your situation. But if you can do a 7 on, 7 off, that week off is pretty solid too for a whole week, off in a row versus, 4 days, I guess. But I don't know. That's where it would be tough. But if you think 7 on, 7 off is good, I certainly think that flexibility and where you're based with a fractional is very difficult to be beat if you think you're just going to be forcefully moved around, essentially, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that I love this email because you can just get the sense of the military precision of this person, and they've got their ducks in a row, and they've got everything planned, and they have the skill bridge. And I just love to see all this, and I'm just like, man, this person really has a plan, and I admire it. And like we mentioned, the only thing I'm worried about is that just aviation in general tends to take your plans and then just sort of ball them up. So that's sort of why Max and I always say flexibility is the key to air power, right? Because things change. Now, in this scenario, I think Max did a really good job of explaining kind of the time of the fractional, the schedule there, that 7 on, 7 off. I guess the question to me is because to me it seems like the fractional is the way to go, but you are going to work more. You're going to be gone more. So that's the only thing. And the other lesson we learned, Max, when kids are young, if you're working weekends, it doesn't really matter. They don't know. If you're off on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday versus, like if you're junior at the airlines, like
Yeah.
it's okay if you're flying that 4-day that goes over the weekend, but then as they get older, that's when you want to be able to have those weekends off when they're, you're coaching their baseball team and they've got, the dance rehearsal, whatever, or dance recital, whatever. So that the 7-on 7-off does kind of hurt a little bit of that, like, whereas you could potentially have the weekends off if you're doing the regional. The thing is, going to the regional, like I don't even know that the major, like you might have a better run if at 10 years just saying I'm only going to do regional, because I feel like you're probably in to a regional for 2 or 3 years at least, and then you'd only have, I don't know. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that? If you went the airline path, like if it would actually make sense to go to a major, or would you be better off just staying at the regional? If the money
from
isn't,
a quality of life standpoint,
yeah,
with 10 years seniority, I mean, the work rules are not as good at the regionals for quality of life, but
yeah,
seniority is everything, right? And 10 years is not going to give you a lot. I mean, 10 years goes fast, man. Like,
I mean, because like if you played it out, and obviously there's just so many, like you could see this person like only holding a line at a major for a couple years before they hit their 10 years. Maybe,
dude, or it could be never. It could be never getting.
You
to a
may
major.
never even hold.
You just don't know.
Yeah,
dude. 10 years for one person's career is completely different for another. I mean,
yeah,
the Pan Am book, those guys were first officers for 20 years. I mean, it's just the extremes. And then, majors were upgrading in 6 months. Like it's just, it runs the gamut. It's so impossible to predict.
I feel like the more predictable path is going to be the fractional.
And also, dude, the guy is clearly concerned with quality of life. You haven't heard one thing really in here about maximizing his earnings or anything.
Yeah.
And he said he's in good financial shape. He's got another income, all of that.
Yeah.
So he's chasing quality of life. And the killer of quality of life is commuting, because you're going to extend your trip, typically one day on either side. At least you have to count on that, right? Some trips are commutable on both ends, but I would count on eating another useless night in a hotel for no reason other than to commute. And I just think he's essentially guaranteeing that he's going to have to commute. And so if you take a 3-day trip a week, say, and then you add another day, right? So in the span of 2 weeks, now you're gone 3 nights, 4 days. So now you're working, you're doing something for work 8 days in a 2-week period, right? Where at the 7-on 7-off, you're only doing work stuff 7 days.
Yeah.
So you're working less. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I think it's just a matter of the length. If you can deal, if a week on and week off sounds, he's been in the military. He's probably no stranger to being gone, right? On deployments and everything else. So maybe he's like, dude, I've been gone for 6-month deployments. So a week on, week off's nothing.
The other thought too, I agree. And there are, NetJets especially does have other schedules. It's not just 7-on 7-off.
True.
And I can't speak with like great authority about them, but I know there's like, you just bid to fly like, you can fly like a minimum schedule in I think it's a quarter. Like you got to, and I'm making these numbers up. I know these are going to be wrong. This is just an example. In a quarter of 90 days, you can say like, I only want to fly like, there's like, maybe it's 50 days. I'm making these numbers up.
There's a way to scale, and
there's
goes
a way
to
scale
too, where you get paid. You want to work more, you can work more, you can work less. There's a method to do that. That's what
there is. Saying. Yeah,
I get it.
Exactly. So there is not just the 7-on 7-off. And that's at NetJets. I know. I don't know about the other fractionals. The other thought I had too, and this is what is leaning me towards the fractional path. If you go to the fractionals, you're basically building the same experience that you would at a regional. There's no reason you can't go to a major from a fractional either. So you could go to the fractional and try it for a few years, and if you're like, this isn't for me for whatever reason, that doesn't mean you still can't go to that major later on. And then, but if you like it at the fractional, great, you just cruise, because in the fractional scenario, you are setting that you're getting that seniority going that you could potentially hang on to for that whole 10 years. Versus if you go to the airline, that seniority at the commuter, if you're planning to go to the major, isn't less important. So I think that's my official answer is, given the information you've given us, I would do fractional.
Yeah, I agree. Here's the other thing too. I was just thinking about, we always characterize commuting as like the worst thing in the world and this and that. I've always wondered if there's like somebody that's listening that commutes is like, it's not that bad. These guys are dramatic. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So if you're listening to this and you're that person that has a commute and you totally justify it and think that it's not that bad and it's no big deal, I'd really love for someone to give us the other perspective on that. For listeners like this person that's in the military and doesn't really been around that or flown with people that commute or whatever, it would be interesting to see if there's somebody out there like that.
Yeah.
Let us know.
I mean, I did what I would say is probably about as easy as a commute there is, which is the Phoenix to LAX commute, because you have like 4 carriers that do it and the frequency is insane. And there's no time zone change. It's pretty.
I would say that's equal to the only commute I've done at Southwest, which was the Phoenix to Las Vegas commute.
Yeah.
Because it's same, like less than an hour flight,
if you
million
can,
flights.
If that 1 hour flight where you can pretty much always commute in day of. And
no,
get home.
You can't.
Well, at Southwest, at Southwest you couldn't, But yeah. You do have to remember your perspective on commuting also is because Southwest does not make commuter-friendly schedules. Most of the other airlines do.
They did have commuter-friendly schedules. I just wasn't senior enough to hold them. Hence the reason for commuting a lot of times, like because I couldn't hold the base I wanted to. So,
right. But I'm just saying, like I commuted for a long time and never had to get a hotel on either side. It still really sucked, but it's not like you always have to do that.
Sure.
So, anyways,
well, that's what I mean. That maybe be the person out there. It's like, dude, I'd buy a hotel twice a year, and I figure my extra time spent commuting is 4 hours a week, and it's worth it because I get to live near my parents and my wife's parents. Like, I would like to hear that side of it because I feel like it's we give a one-sided argument, and there's certainly
I think the LA Phoenix is the perfect example because your quality of life from what kind of house you can buy and those other kinds of things are so drastic between LA and Phoenix. You could make a pretty strong argument like, man, my quality of living is so much higher, for a pretty short commute, so there's definitely I think there are definitely times, but especially in back to this person's situation where even if
can't predict it,
you can't predict it. Like, we'll be here and then that commute might be easy, but then the next one might be super hard. So my official vote is fractional. What's your final opinion?
Yeah, I'm fractional as well because it gives you the flexibility. You try it out, and you won't have to commute.
Yep,
and see how it works,
or you'll always commute, depending on your point of view.
Yeah,
you'll always be commuting. It just won't be stressful.
But dude, I mean, like. His wife's in the military. There's military bases all over. Some that could be some that could be a horrific, like 2-leg commute to Little Rock, Arkansas. Who
Wichita
knows?
Springs.
Right. You could just be screwed.
Yeah.
So anyway,
all right.
That's
Dead
it.
horse beaten. Great email. I loved the 10. I love the 10-year twist.
Mm-hmm.
That to me made me really think about that for a minute. Of like a 10-year, like that's an interesting way to map that out. Anyways, great flight advice. Love it when we're able to help folks out and share our opinions, which are of course only worth what you paid for them. If you'd like to submit flight advice for us, you can do so on our website 215podcast.com. There's an anonymous form you can fill out. There's a link right on the main page there. Fill out as much information as you're comfortable with, and we'll give you our opinion, and hopefully it'll help you make a more informed decision. Max, vacation time coming up. We've got a couple episodes recorded to share with folks over the next couple of weeks, but wouldn't be surprised if there's some gaps in the old schedule here in July. So
lots going on.
Just brace yourself for that, listeners. If you maybe listen to some of our older episodes. But of course, we'd like to thank all of our listeners for all of their support, emails, comments, flight advice, reviews, everything. We're working on a new thank you gift for our listeners a new offering for them, Max. Super secret in development right now in the
calm down. Don't overcommit.
In Max's Skunkworks garage right now. That's all we'll share, but it's going to be very exciting. Very exciting token of our appreciation coming up soon. Thanks to Advanced Aircrew Academy, Harvey Watt, Tim Pope, Pro Pilot World, the Air Comp Calculator, Veris Jet Sales, James O'Neill, Raven Careers, all of the folks that make this show possible. Really appreciate their longtime support. Anything else, Max, before we go?
Nope. I think that's it, man. Well said.
Okay. All right. Until next time, remember,
flexibility is the key to your 10-year plan. We'll see you next time.
To your 10-year plan. See ya. The statements made in this show are our own opinions and do not reflect, nor were they under any direction from any of our employers.